Well, here we are in sunny Saturday morning in the middle of the summer here, and it is hot still. Not as hot as it was, but Ken, that was great. I got away last weekend.
Yeah, it was great.
Got out of Dodge for 4 days. We were out for 4 days. Can't stay longer than 4 days because the garden's going to fry.
Well, that's it. I have the exact same problem. Every time I go somewhere, I think, oh, man. You know, I got to have somebody to back us up, somebody to go and check. And even my own garden is just so, I just have these specific little things that need to be watered. A lot of them are fine, but you can't miss those ones.
I was fortunate to have our one and only mutual friend and my relative, Don Stoles, taking care of my garden, and I appreciate that very much. He did a stellar job. Mm-hmm. I paid him in BEER.
Oh.
That's how I paid him.
Oh, there you go. Yeah.
Let's do the tips and plants of the week here.
It's a good currency, actually.
It's good currency. My tip of the week this week is this may not be a gardening tip. but we've discovered the benefits and pleasure of soaking our feet in cold tap water in a tub when sitting around visiting on the patio in this heat.
Oh, there you go.
You put your feet in cold water, and your whole body, you feel like you're swimming in the lake. It's just fabulous.
That awesome?
It works really well.
Got to try that.
My plant of the week is a simple one. Corn.
Oh,
corn.
Mm-hmm.
We picked up some corn in Chilliwack on the way back. Now we've got the local corn, but we always, take advantage of stopping in Chilliwack and picking up a little corn there. And delicious, and we've had 2 or 3 feeds of corn. It's a good food.
Mm-hmm. Very nice. All right, I also have a tip and a plant, and my tip of the week this week is consider using some shade cloth in your vegetable garden. It's one of these things that when we're having this kind of incredibly hot weather, that if you do live in a hot area, like here's semi-arid desert in the Kelowna area, we could really benefit when it's this hot by putting up a little bit of shade cloth just to dampen that sun a little bit. So shade cloth is a material that is, I'm not going to say it's readily available. I'm going to try to make it readily available, but something you got to look for, and it will reduce the intensity of the sun on the plants, and I think it'll be a big advantage. All right, my plant of the week this week is a caladium plant. And caladiums are so cool. They got to be the most colorful foliage of any plant out there. And that's why they're grown. They're not grown for flowers. They're grown for foliage. And so if you do have a planter and you just want something to give you a little blast of color, that maybe as a feature plant in a planter, a caladium is a very cool plant for that. Their claim to fame is really their variety of colors. There's so many different colors to choose from. You can even just stuff a planter just full of different colors of caladiums, and just a very cool plant and one of my favorites. So they grow in shade. They're best for shadier planters, and they love warm weather. That's their key. They don't like it cold, so you don't start them too early in the season. But excellent plant, very cool, neat to try. And if you're out in the Lake Country area, you can go out to Shanks Road and go down to Kell Lake Greenhouse there, and they have a really beautifully large selection of caladiums. So there you go. Don't see them that often, so check it out. That's my tips and plans for this week. Remember to check growercoach.com.
Aha. Well, we have an announcement to make, Ken.
Yep.
We've been promoting the Master Gardeners course coming up this September. Unfortunately, it's been a little bit not as much interest this time, and only because I think of the sensitivity of COVID and things like that. Mm-hmm. So they have canceled it, but they are certainly going to be doing it again next year. And
September 2022.
Yep, they sent us a note saying thanks for all the help. And I really believe in the Master Gardeners course and Master Gardeners program, because it really takes your gardening experience to another level and becoming a Master Gardener. It's like getting a black belt in gardening.
Yeah.
It is. Yeah.
Amazing. Yeah, it covers all kinds of aspects, the botany of it, the individual plants, plant identification, and pest and disease. Oh, just all kinds of stuff, all the regular gardening things like soils and compost and the whole full gamut. So it's definitely worth it. So even if you're interested, and if you didn't make it in for this year, think about it for 2022. Write it on your calendar and sign up.
You bet. And what we can do is talk about it again next year. That's what we're going to do. I was away for a few days, went down to see our son Joe, who's living in Vancouver now. Yeah, he lives on the 26th floor of condominium, 26th floor. Absolutely. You look out on his balcony. You're looking out over the roof of BC Place.
Wow.
You're looking over the roof. So he's got a heck of a view of the city and a view of you can see the ocean from his place, and just a great place to live. Myself, I would be quite concerned about earthquakes, but that's beside. I mean, I hate heights, and I hate standing there thinking, okay, if there's the big one, what goes on? Yeah. This building's going to move. And I was on the CN Tower in Toronto.
Oh yeah,
top of CN Tower, and it was a big wind up.
Yeah,
and that thing moves about a foot.
Oh yeah,
at the top, at least a foot. Moves back and forth when there's a wind, and I could feel it.
Even the Calgary Tower does.
I said, Bill, we got to go down. I can't be up here.
No.
And he's, Jerry was with us, and Jerry was standing on this glass thing, this glass floor where you're just standing. You
can see through.
And you're looking down. Anyway, I can't do it. Anyway, but
I'm the same exactly.
Here's what we did do that was quite relaxing and quite cool. Joe just made us work. I mean, I walked more in Vancouver this past weekend than I've walked all year. And I shouldn't say that because I should be walking more and getting in better shape, but whatever. Visited Queen Elizabeth Park again. I've been there a few times, but I've never been there this time of year. And of course, like any garden, it changes. You could go in July, August, September, October, November, December, January, February. Go to Queen Elizabeth Park every month of the year, and you'd see a different park.
Oh, yeah.
Pretty much.
It's beautiful.
Beautiful. It's a beautiful place. And then we went to, we hiked in, there's a place called the Spirit of the Coast Regional District Park. Spirit of the Coast Regional Park. And it is just an amazing place. I'm sure that's what it's called. I thought maybe I may be wrong, but anyway, it's the spirit of something. It's out near UBC, and man, it was such a great experience. It's Spirit of the Coast. That's what it's called, and it's more of that hike. You're looking at all sorts of native plants and ferns and all sorts of coastal native plants. However, I have never, ever in my life seen it so dry. I've never seen the coast so dry. They went 28 days. When we were there, they'd gone 28 days without rain.
Uh-oh.
That's when we were there.
It's a rainforest. It's supposed to rain.
Yeah. And even the weatherman, in Vancouver, you hear that you watch the weather in Vancouver, the weather guy talking, and he's always, poo-pooing the rain, saying, oh, well, it's going to be sunny now. Well, now he's going, boy, we could use some rain. We could use some rain, I'll tell you.
That's the thing is, like here in the Okanagan, it's a dry climate, and we don't get very much rain. But I think we must be quite a bit below our average.
We are below, and the spring was low too, Ken. We're due. We need some rain. Anyway, on the other note, that wasn't the only thing we did. We went to Queen Elizabeth Park. We went to the Spirit of the Coast Regional Park. We went to a place called Iona Beach. Iona Beach. And that's out by the airport. And what Joe was trying to show us was in Vancouver, in that area, the coast, there are so many little micro areas that are so different. On the coast, on that beach, there was sedges, and there was chamomile, and there was all sorts of different plants there. Some native, I'm pretty sure some introduced, of course. You can't really. They were naturalized. They might be native, but more than likely introduced. But it was a great place, and we came across a rusted old hulk of a car, and it just showed you what the elements can do to man-made things. This was the motor, the frame, the back end, the rear end, and a bit of the transmission. And Ken, it was just a blob of rust. You could recognize it
Mm-hmm.
Like if you didn't know what you were looking for, but it was an overhead straight six engine of some sort, maybe an old Chevy engine or something. It had an automatic transmission. I could tell these things, but if you didn't know this stuff, it was just a blob of rust.
But the salt water must just disintegrate everything.
Yep.
No way to know how old it was.
No way to know how old, and no way to know how it got there. I mean, how did it get there?
Yeah.
And then before we take the break, I just want to tell one more thing here. We went to that and to that area, and then we went to the Van Gogh display at well, it's on the coast. It's at the
art gallery.
No, it wasn't the art gallery. BC, not BC Place, but where the sales are. We've been to the conventions there.
Yeah,
Pan Pacific. Yeah, and that's where it was, and it was amazing. I thought we were going to go and look at little pictures, Van Gogh pictures, which would have been great too, but no, it was a display on a huge walls of high definition display of Van Gogh stuff. And the music behind it, and the story was told of who he was, how he, he died a pauper. His paintings were not worth much money when he was alive, but now they're of course worth millions of dollars. Mm-hmm. And very unique painter. Some of it looks like he's been finger painting.
Yeah,
it's fascinating, big thick paint. Right? Anyway, it's really really great experience. So all in all, we went to a couple of restaurants, went to a waffle house, and we packed in for 2 days. Really, we were there. We were a day getting down. Roads were good. Weather was good. There wasn't a lot of smoke, which was quite good. Anyway, that was my my breakaway. Getting out of Dodge for the first time in a long time on the weekend.
Little adventure.
It was fun. It was great to do.
Yeah, sounds like fun.
250-862-2525 to get through to Ken and I today. We're having some fun. It's a beautiful Saturday morning, and there's not a lot of smoke in the air, which is really good. Mm-hmm. And the sun is shining, and the gardens are just... This morning when I was out in the garden, I was out early. Mm-hmm. And it is really nice out there, cool, and how refreshing is that? Things are starting to perk up now.
I'm starting to see the plants recover from that heat. The heat just fried everything, and now they're starting to bloom, and they're coming on. Yeah. Some of those leaves, if you pinch off the burnt leaves, the plant's just going to grow all new leaves, and they're going to come right back. Now the weather's back to a little bit more seasonal sort of temperature.
Even the hostas are looking better now. But Ken, great tip of the week, getting that shade cloth up. That's a fabulous idea. I'm going to do that myself.
There you go.
250-862-2525 to get through to us, and we'll be back with more AM 1150 Garden. Betcha we're here with you on the AM 1150 Garden Show because we want to be here, and we love to be here, and we love to hear from you, and we're inviting and welcoming Andy to the show. Good morning, Andy.
Hey, good morning, Don. Good morning, Ken. How are you guys?
We're great.
Good. Thanks.
Yeah, beautiful day again.
Again, yeah.
Hey, I guess the problem that everybody's having, living in my house here with a 40-year-old lawn that's just absolutely dead. What does the guy do? I mean, you can't just keep pouring water on it, right?
Well, brown is beautiful sometimes.
Yeah, I guess right.
It's a tough call. We live in a desert, and generally speaking, if you have a decent base to the lawn and it's relatively healthy in the spring, if it does go brown in the fall, I mean, Ken and I both have seen them sort of pop back and look better it looks good in the spring. They will pop back again in the fall. Water is the key issue, but we are having, it's so dry this year. I hate to promote pouring the water to your lawn.
Unprecedented,
Ken, add to that, Ken, because I mean, you. The other thing is, sometimes redoing the whole thing at some point, putting a budget together and saying, I'm going to redo my lawn and do it properly with the proper base and everything so the roots can get down deep and become strong. Ken, you've installed so many lawns recently, and you can explain
over the years,
just how it works.
It's really the species. Different species react to the heat differently, and predominantly our lawns are like Kentucky bluegrass variety, and that goes dormant when it gets too dry or too hot. It just shuts down and it just turns brown, and so the plant's still alive. It's just dormant. And so, you can sometimes resurrect it just by increasing or more consistent water supply. It takes about 4 to 5 weeks for it to wake up and get going again. It will naturally do that as the season progresses, and once you get into, especially probably by mid-August, the thing would just wake up on its own, because we would assume that this, that the evenings are going to start cooling off more and more, start to get a little bit of dew. That sort of thing is always helpful to the grasses love those conditions. So
should a guy fertilize at this point in time? Like normally, in the springtime, I like to use like an 18-18-18 because it kind of gives you it promotes the green, it promotes the growth, it promotes the roots. What would be should a guy, and what would be a good fertilizer, or should a guy use fertilizer at this time of year on a lawn that's gone dormant?
Well, once it's dormant, it's not going to be of a great advantage. So what I would do is I would just keep an eye on it, and I'd be looking for that sign that it's starting to recover. And you see a little bit of green coming on. And then as soon as you can get about maybe even a half an inch of growth pushing up, then at that point you could fertilize. Lawn is a heavy nitrogen user, so usually like in the spring using like 18-18-18, something like that in the spring is great, stimulates roots, gets the plants kind of up and going. And then once it warms up in May, you typically would move to something that's higher nitrogen, so like a ratio of like 1, or let's say 4-1-1 or 3-1-1 ratio. So the first number is nitrogen. So, that kind of gives you an idea. There's many different products out there that are available for the lawn, just higher in the first number. But I usually recommend the feeding is once per month. So if you did that, your regular one in April, if it's, say, towards middle April, then you go about the middle of May, about the middle of June, middle of July. August, you don't really have to feed too much. And then once in early September, and then that's it for the year.
And I think, Andy, in a nutshell, getting your lawn in really good shape in the easy months, March, April, May, and June, the lawn will survive the summer a lot better, and and then work on it in the fall. But have a look and see what your base is, because there is a specific base that your lawn needs to thrive, and you may at some point say, you know what, we're going to redo this thing because it may not have been installed properly.
Well, I had a soil test on it done, and even though it's a 40-year-old lawn, it's actually in pretty good shape as far as the dirt is concerned. It's just that one of the problems over the years is that it's 40 years old and it's pretty compacted, huh? So
the compaction is the big deal,
Yeah, so, we do the aeration and, the fertilization and the water and everything like that. But, it's a bit of a chore. Just a shame to see it go down, but then everybody in the neighborhood's the same
everybody's
way.
the same way. But just one last thing. We got to take another call here. We got Dominic Ramponi on the line. We're going to talk cherries. Yeah. But I'll tell you this, Andy, you just look at how much sand the golf courses use on their lawns.
Yep.
And it is incredible how much sand. And people think, sand is there's too much drainage that we're going to wash the water away. No, the sand leaves space for the water. The sand leaves space for the water, and the roots will go down. I've got a long story to talk about that, but unfortunately, we have to go and talk to Dominic. And appreciate the call, Andy.
Yep.
Take care.
Thank you. Have a good day, guys.
You betcha.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Yeah.
Dominic, how are we doing, buddy?
Don Burnett. It's great to talk to you on a great sunny day and getting into the cherry season. It's awesome.
I know. It's
excellent.
Great. Now,
and we have some very exciting news. We're opening our retail store at the plant on Highway 97 North. We're opening that today at 9 o'clock. And we will be, of course, the Dendy Orchard location is always open 9 to 5.
Perfect.
And you know what? I love going to the Dendy Orchard location. It's a historical spot in the valley and whatnot. But I'll tell you, that wonderful facility they've got out there near Duck Lake is incredible.
We're very proud of it, and it's exciting. It's exciting to present a great agricultural product with historical families like ourselves and the Gein family who have been there for hundreds of years. So we really appreciate doing good quality and explaining to people how the fruit is growing, how it's pruned, how it's watered, because there's a real science to it now, more so than there was 40 years ago. There's not a question. When you look at how the trees are developed and the new varieties that are coming out and the late season cherries and what we do with, when it rained the other day, we had helicopters out blowing the water off and blowing it with blowers from the ground. And the other day we picked in a shift, it's like 4:30 in the morning till around noon, we picked 45 tons of cherries.
Oh, my God.
Unbelievable.
That's really great. And there was a news broadcast, and, the news people really like to, I mean, I'm not poo-pooing them or anything, but they really like to make a big story out of maybe not so much. But there was one farmer that was having real issues with the heat on the cherries. And
some of ours got some damage, not a question.
Yeah.
But the like Alder and Asuris got hit harder than we did. But we have Virtual Creek Park down Lakeshore Road, all the way to Pritchard by Kamloops, to the El Dorado Ranch, to top of Fintry. So we're not susceptible to so much one weather condition because they're spread all over.
Right. Yeah. You've got the volume and the large area to deal with, which helps a lot. And so your cherries, and I'm telling you, I just had on my cereal this morning, and it's tradition. I had cherries we canned last year. Now, we've still got a few jars left. We canned so many cherries. Donna canned a whack of cherries, whack of peaches, whack of plums.
That's awesome.
And we just enjoy them all winter, and we're still enjoying them. But now it's a mad rush to finish them because now the fresh stuff's coming on.
Well, you got to remember, both you and Ken, when you eat the cherries, that's why you guys look so young, because you're eating fresh Okanagan cherries. It helps the youth movement.
Exactly. It doesn't grow hair, though.
No.
Well, you got to eat more.
Oh, okay.
Dominic, but you're open at the Dendy location right now, aren't you?
No, I'm at the plant. We're opening today, so I'm at the plant.
Okay.
I'm at the plant today,
so the Dendy location is not open today?
Yep.
Oh, it's open. That's what I was saying. Yep. But you're at the plant. So go out and see Dominic at the plant out by Duck Lake there. You can't miss it. It's a huge building. But the Dendy location is open as well. So if that's more convenient for you.
And the question of the day at the Dendy location is, what is Kelowna's official flower?
Ooh. Oh, I should
Don't even guess.
I should know that. I should know that, but I don't.
I'm not going to tell you guys. You guys can think about it. And don't Google. You guys should both know this.
I think I know it, but I don't want to say it because if I do, I'll let the cat out of the bag. This is a really good one. So people, they'll go up on Pooley Road and they'll go out to the site and they will. The question is written on the board there, and somebody will help them if they answer the question correctly.
For sure, but a lot of people sit in their car and they Google before they get out of their car. I call that cheating.
That's cheating. Yep.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And, thanks for supporting agriculture, and we're rocking and rolling here at Jealous Fruit. So
cool,
well,
awesome.
Jealous Fruit. Go and see Dominic today at the opening of Jealous Fruit near Duck Lake. There, you can't miss the building. It's beautiful. Okay,
thank you very much, guys. You have a good day.
Thanks, Dominic.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye now. And we are going to have to take a short break here, and we'll be back in just a moment with more AM 1150 Garden Show. You bet. We're back here on a sunny Saturday morning, and fortunately, there's not a lot of smoke in the air.
Yeah, it's the first clear day we've had in a while.
But our next guest, of course, is a smoking hot guy, and that is Dan Bruce. Good morning, Dan.
Hey.
Good morning.
Morning, Dan. How are you doing?
My teeth are chattering. It's 17 degrees out here.
I know. I was freezing this morning. I was out in the garden, and I thought, gee, this is cold. Anyway, no, it's nice. It's actually pleasant. Quite pleasant. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, so what have you got up your sleeve today, Dan?
Well, we continue our exploration of Native American agriculture. Mm-hmm. And we've had a little excursion into Peru. Well, Guatemala and southern Mexico had a home of the Maya culture. Mm. And they're quite an extraordinary civilization. They were flourishing when Europe was in what was known as the Dark Ages.
Yeah.
When the Vikings were running around beheading people.
Mm-hmm. And the Mayans were flourishing.
The Maya were flourishing. Yeah. And Maya culture became sort of recognizable as such about 300 to 200 BC. Mm. And it progressed, developed until AD 900 or thereabouts, when things started to fall apart seriously for the Maya. Mm-hmm. And went into a sharp decline, massive change. But agriculture was the key issue, because the people who built those huge cities and ceremonial centers, who raised the pyramids at places like Tikal, El Mirador, Copan, they were as a massive population under the control of people who really understood the business of architecture, mm-hmm. art, literature, mathematics, and all that sort of stuff, which is not commonly associated with people living in a rainforest.
Right.
But in order to support that population, agriculture was the name of the game. So maize, i.e. corn on the cob, mm-hmm. was one of the really, really important crops, which remains a huge staple of human food today. But there was another one that is, to some people, is absolutely vital because they're totally addicted to it, and that's chocolate.
Mm. Oh, okay. Mm-hmm.
Theobroma cacao is the scientific name of the tree, and it has certain cultural requirements in that it wouldn't be a good house plant here in the Okanagan, particularly these days, because it requires massive humidity.
Mm. Right.
And particularly in the northern parts of Yucatan, where the humidity is kind of Okanagan-like, the Maya grew the tree down in natural sinkholes in the rock, the limestone area that they lived in. These massive sinkholes called cenotes, and quite often they had water in the bottom. But they developed a method of growing chocolate trees down in these sinkholes, and they were artificially fertilized, composted, so that they could grow the beans which make chocolate, of which they and the rest of the world are very fond.
Well, so the bean, the chocolate cacao bean that comes off this plant, now, there is a process. So somebody had to learn the process to make chocolate. You just can't pick the bean and eat it and say, "Wow, I just had a chocolate bar."
No, you can't. There's quite a long process.
Yeah.
And what's interesting is that a number of these Native American agricultural products require lengthy process. Preparation.
Yeah.
And this makes it even more fascinating that over the years, over the centuries, these processes were figured out and developed and perfected.
So that was something that these folk, the Maya, did. They perfected the process of taking this chocolate bean and making chocolate out of it.
Yes.
Did they invent Valentine's Day?
No, but they wish they had. The Maya were fascinated by time.
Right.
And they recorded time. And you've all heard the nonsense about the Maya calendar ending in, what was it, 2012?
Yeah.
And I mean, spectacularly, 2012, 2013 dawned and nothing happened.
Yeah.
And in fact, the Maya never said it would. There is one Mayan inscription that mentions the date 2012, and it was obviously a prediction into the future. But if you can believe this, the Maya liked cycles of time, and they liked to celebrate events based on recurring cycles. And because they had mathematics and the concept of zero, they computed time backwards 28 octillion years ago.
Wow. Yeah, well, this is something we don't think about too much, isn't it?
We don't need to.
No, exactly.
We do not need to. But to them, it was a significant thing because anniversaries recurring over that time period were very, very significant.
Interesting.
Anyhow, that little thing sort of serves as a lead up for next week when we'll go into chocolate in more detail, because you cannot just pass off chocolate in a few minutes.
No, it's fascinating. And are we going to do vanilla at some point?
That is almost inevitable.
Yeah. Okay. Dan, we always love to hear from you, and you're always fascinating. You got lots of great information that we don't often think about, and it's you've made my brain work again today.
And if no, really?
Yep, my brain's working.
Look out, Kelowna, he's thinking.
It's okay, I got a fire extinguisher right here.
Yeah. Ken's going to put the fire out.
If somebody wants to argue with me, they can come out to Fintry on Sunday, tomorrow morning, because I will be at the dairy barn giving tours.
Oh, right on.
10 until 11 tomorrow.
Fabulous.
10 o'clock to 11, Dan will be in the dairy barn. That's where he belongs. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah. We love you, Dan. Take care.
I will.
Yep.
Okay.
Thanks for calling in.
Bye for now.
Bye-bye. Yeah, fascinating topic.
Well, fascinating topic. It always is. Dan's been a fascinating friend of ours for many, many years, and he's always got something. But I must say, if you really want to have an interesting Sunday drive, head out to Fintry tomorrow between 10 and 11 and check Dan out. He's in the dairy barn. It's a very unique dairy barn, an octagonal dairy barn that was built by the Lord of Fintry back in the day, and it's very historical and a great, great place to go. I'm going to suggest we're going to take a short break here because we're at the quarter hour. And we invite your calls, 250-862-2525, to get through to Ken and I today. And we'll be back with more AM 1150 Garden. Well, for those of you who don't know it, and you should if you're interested in gardening at all, you should be involved and attend the garden club, the Kelowna Garden Club, one of the oldest garden clubs in the Valley. In BC, as a matter of fact. And it's a fabulous organization. Lots of fun, lots of different demographics. There's some quite young folks in there. There's some actually really old people, there's up there, just crazy old.
Super experienced.
And then there's
horticultural
middle
people.
old people, and there's just a whole range of people, because gardening does not stop when you're 60. Gardening doesn't start when you're 60. Gardening is, I started playing the garden when I was 4 years old. Mm-hmm. And am I blessed to live to 90, I'll be still gardening at 90. So there you go. However, one of the things that the Garden Club does is they invite and they open up the various members' gardens to the Garden Club. It's not open to the public. It's open to the Garden Club. You can bring guests. Mm. I mean, it's not like closed up for sure, but I mean, you can bring guests, but you have to come with a Garden Club member. That's the whole idea, right? Mm-hmm. And just past Wednesday, there was 3 gardens that were opened up to the public, and Donna and I decided we would take some time off and go to these gardens, which we're so glad we did. They're beautiful gardens. Barb and Dennis Hicks. Dennis is one of the regular callers in the garden show, probably been calling the garden show longer than just about anybody that I know that's a regular caller. Yeah. He started calling back in the 90s, early 90s. Mm-hmm. And great friend. We've become great friends.
Amazing gardener, too.
An amazing gardener. And they opened their garden up, so we went and saw their garden. Then we went to Margaret and Jim Finney's garden in West Kelowna. Fabulous garden again. Lots of things going on. And they have these 2 huge cherry trees. And I said, when I walked in, I said, these cherry trees must be, 50 years old. And one of the gals that was in the garden club said, well, no, they planted them. They've only been here, 30 years or something, 27 years. Mm. And I said, well, these cherry trees, this had to be an old cherry orchard, because the cherry trees can 3 feet in diameter at the base. 3 feet in diameter at the base.
Incredible.
I didn't take a picture, darn it. I should have, because I'm telling you, they were grand old gals. I called them grand old gals.
So you're pretty sure that they were not 30 years old?
I'm going to say they could be 70 years old. They could be as old as I am. They could be older than I am. And, they were concerned about some of the decay cavities and things showing up in there. I said, you know what? That old gal or guy, I don't know if it's a gal or a guy, but those old trees are just taking care of business. Because those decay cavities are typical of cherries, because they're pruned so much, and there's so much opening for decay cavities. And then, of course, it does spread, but it doesn't spread into the new wood. The new wood comes over top of those decay cavities. Just incredible how they work. It's
still
just
stable.
Such a science.
Yeah, they say they only need about 20% of the exterior wood that's still alive to remain stable.
Yeah, they call it the shell wall. And the thickness, and 20 to 30% is fine,
Yeah.
And that's all vascular wood that's doing their thing. Anyway, beautiful old trees, very productive. Probably one of the old varieties like Bing or Lambert or who knows? But probably.
How long has Lappin's been around?
Lappin's came out. Lappin's came out. I'm going to suggest Lappin's came out in the mid '80s, maybe a little earlier than that.
Fairly new.
Little earlier than that. I met Dr. Lappin. I met him. He came into Bylands when I was there, and he's the one that developed the Lappin's cherry in Summerland.
Yeah, at the research station.
Yeah, he was quite elderly when he came into the Bylands and talked to me, and I was very privileged to. I wish I would have got a picture with him, because he's pretty famous.
He's
Dr.
a famous
Lappin's,
guy, yeah.
And Lappin's was one of the first of the new breed of cherries that were later, very Stella was another one, very self-pollinating. Lappin's is the only cherry variety developed at Summerland that doesn't start with an S.
Oh.
And so that makes it unique, because Stella and Staccato and all Sweetheart, they're all S's, right? Developed in Summerland.
Fascinating. After
we went to the Margaret and Jim Finney property, and also I got to see Jim's shop.
Oh.
Men love to look into shops, and he's got a nice little woodworking shop there that he turns. There's a lot of lathe turning and whatnot.
Nice.
And then, of course, Shirley Hathaway, who has been a mainstay in the garden club for years and years. She's in West Kelowna as well. Went to her place, very large yard, quite a large property, and beautiful walk through there. She's got some unique trees. They've got Styrax japonica there.
Yeah.
They have. She has a beautiful dogwood, a Cornus Cusa dogwood, beautiful, and all sorts of various plants. And I've taken a couple of pictures. I'm going to show you at the break, Ken, a couple of plants because I don't know their names, but they are perfect for summer color. We're always looking for summer color.
Mm-hmm.
Easy to get spring color. Yeah. It's fairly easy to get fall color, but summer color in the heat
can be
tough.
Tricky.
It's tough. And so I've got a couple of pictures of plants I want to show you and see if we can get the ID on them so I can. Mm-hmm. And it was just great. And nice little vegetable garden, a little water feature, and it was good. So those are 3 gardens we went to and enjoyed it very much. And what a neat thing that the garden club does is open their gardens to garden club members. Yeah. And as I said before, if you know a garden club member, you can go on the little visit.
It's a private garden tour is what it is.
You can't walk in there a ordinary person. You have to be a member.
You have to be a member.
It's
absolutely.
Very exclusive. Very exclusive.
Yeah, and that reminds me of the garden tour. And we haven't had one now for a couple of seasons due to COVID. But I'm really hoping 2022 we can get that garden tour back on track. And if anybody knows about that, if there's any planning going on, please either send me an email or phone into the show and let us know if there's a plan to fire things back up in 2022. I
feel it is. I mean, we've got our Chelsea Flower Show planned for 2022, the May of 2022. Of course, we're always on edge looking at what's going on in England and whatnot. But on the other hand, it looks like things are going to open up if people just behave themselves and get vaccinated is what I like.
Yeah, anyway. And they have to contact Marlin Travel. Yeah. Gail Fritzen.
Yeah, Gail Fritzen at Marlin Travel will help you out and tell you how to get there and what to do. Or you can just give me a call too and email me, and I'll email you all the information on it. If you want information on the trip to the Chelsea Flower Show in May of 2022, and from the Chelsea Show in London, we take the channel across, and we go up to Amsterdam, and we take in the Floriade show. Now, the Floriade show, if you Google Floriade, Floriade, Amsterdam, it will tell you all about it. And it only happens every 10 years. Yeah. So I figured I got to do it this year. Anyway, next year. It's going to be exciting. And so we are going to have a rip-roaring, burning hot second half of the garden show coming up very quickly here. We invite your calls, 250-862-2525 to get through to us today. We've had a good bunch of callers so far, and we love to hear from you. That's what makes the show. If there ain't no audience, there just ain't no show. That's Chilliwack's song. And I
love those guys.
We toured with Chilliwack. The band toured with Chilliwack back in the 60s. We did a tour through the Kootenays with Chilliwack.
Incredible band and way far ahead of their time.
Yeah, I know.
Amazing.
And my buddy Doug Edwards was the bass player for many, many years, since he's passed away, but fabulous bass player. And known as a bass player, but guitar player extraordinaire.
Songwriter,
wrote Wildflower. Yeah. Anyway, on that note, we're going to take a short break here for the news, and Ken and I are going to talk more gardening when we come back. And this is the AM 1150 Garden Show, and we'll be back with more AM 1150 Garden. Okay, those are the 2 emails that you can call or email if you're interested in any questions, gardening questions. We're here to help you. Melba is joining us. Good morning, Melba. Thanks for coming.
Hello.
Good morning.
How are you both?
We're both well.
We're doing well.
And it's going to cool down, so maybe the gardens will settle down.
Yeah, it's something else, eh? Oh, my goodness.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I'm struggling with my favorite tree. I grew up on the coast, and so I like Japanese maples and roses, and my Japanese maples are crispy around the edges. Mm-hmm. So I'm keeping them moist at the root to the right amount, and crossing my fingers. That's my challenge for this summer.
Yeah.
Alive.
Well, that crispiness is common on Japanese maples, just because they're not drought tolerant, and this heat is just too much for them sometimes. And we do see that crispy edge, and it's pretty common. We've found that on especially the lace leaf maples, and quite a few of the different Japanese maples are showing those kind of symptoms. So even if they're just slightly not quite moist enough during that heat spell, they're going to go crispy on the edges. But they should rebound. I don't think it's a permanent thing. Yeah, so they should be all right.
Oh, I'm hopeful for them. Keeping them moist, just the right, I'm hoping, the right amount. Oh, I wanted to make sure you know about our Master Gardener course. We put it on usually every 2 to 3 years and invite keen gardeners that want to learn more and then share it with the public. And we had we were planning it for this September. We had a group of very, very keen gardeners sign up for it, and we were getting ready to go, and then looked at the logistics, and we just had to cancel it because of not quite enough people signed up to make it a financial goal. And so that one went out the window. And then we just ran into, we need to rent some space here, and a lot of the usual places that we try and rent just aren't available yet. So we ended up canceling till next year.
And I did mention that earlier, Mel, but we got the message, and but that gives lots of people to think more about it, because I'll tell you, it's a challenging course. It's a very, very wonderful thing for a gardener to do, to take it to another level. I was saying it's like getting a black belt in gardening.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And we really appreciate your efforts and the Master Gardeners program. And it's not just Master Gardeners is an international organization, really, in the big picture, right?
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
It's all over the States, England. I believe Australia has something similar. So, it's, you get to know a little bit more scientific background for what you're going to do with your garden. And then you get to share it. This last 2 years, though, we certainly haven't been able to be out in the nurseries where we usually can share.
No, that's right.
Last year, there was nothing. We couldn't go out at all. This year, we've been out more in volunteer aspect at the some of the heritage gardens. We're at Gushigan every week, and Summerland Ornamental Garden. And a new one this year is the Food for Thought Garden that's associated with the Kids Backpack Program with School District Number 623. So we're out there. We're just not as visible as usual.
That's right. I know you do a great job, and when you've got Master Gardeners on in place at the various functions, and that will improve. That'll all come back again. And
I'm sure, hopeful.
Yeah,
yep.
I'm looking forward to next year when the garden club can put their flower show on at the Gushigan area there, the Gushigan Park, because the Master Gardeners are usually there to help out, and it's just a great thing.
Next, we have another couple events coming up, actually.
Okay.
We've got a plant sale will likely happen in September. I don't have final plans available for that yet. And I'm confident that the Seedy Sunday will go ahead in 2022.
Oh, good. That'd be great.
Perfect.
I think we're rounding the corner here. We're trying to all behave ourselves, and we're going to get there.
I'm going to get there. We're going to do it.
You betcha, Melba.
Okay, thanks, Don. Thanks, Ken.
Thanks so
for
much.
Calling in.
Thank you.
Yeah, take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye now. Yep, that's a good thing. Active gardeners that are just keeners. Ken coined that phrase years ago. They're keeners, Don. They're keeners.
Absolutely, yeah. It's fabulous.
You bet. We have Sophie joining us. Good morning, Sophie.
Good morning. I have a question about raspberries.
Mm-hmm.
My raspberries have been so nice all the years, and this year they're all gone into vines.
Mm-hmm.
Vines.
Yeah, it's all vines coming out of there.
So you're suggesting they didn't bloom?
No, there was nothing.
Okay. Do you know if these are June-bearing raspberries or fall-bearing raspberries?
No, they're June-bearing.
June-bearing, okay.
Yes. But their plants are very old. They were
Yep.
there. We're here 30 years, and those raspberries were there when we got here.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe they just got too old, or because we had them cut back last fall.
Mm-hmm.
And we did that every year, and every year we had raspberries.
Well,
this year, I don't know what happened to them.
Cutting them back. Now, what did you cut back? You cut back?
Well, the big branches,
Okay.
like the big, left them about maybe 8-10 inches.
Well, with June-bearing raspberries, and I'm surprised that you've done this over the years and had good luck, but June-bearing raspberries bloom and produce on last year's new wood. And last year's new wood should be kept at around 3-4 feet minimum. And then you take out last year's producing wood, which is dead, and you take that all out, right?
Yeah.
Now, pruning down to a foot in the fall would cause, in my opinion, the raspberries to not produce because you're pruning off that producing wood for the following year. And maybe this year, with the dry and the heat and everything, in the past when you've done that and cut them down that low, you might have cut them down that low, but there was still enough there to produce some raspberries, albeit not real tall. This year, with the heat and possibly even some of the winter, that late frost that we had, that late cold snap, might have caused some disruption in what would normally be a productive year. And, I think it's a one-off. If the foliage looks really good, Sophie, I would suggest you're okay. Cut that.
Well, should we cut back all those vines?
Well, you don't want to cut them back down real hard, but you definitely should cut them back to 3 or 4 feet in the fall.
Mm-hmm. They'll only produce on that 3 to 4 feet.
Yeah.
So wherever you cut it off, that's where they're going to produce.
Right.
So some people cut them at 5 feet because they want to pick up a little bit higher. So it's just up to the individual. I really like that 4 foot level is perfect.
Yeah.
And we cut it there, and we have to save anything that grew last year is going to fruit this year. So we have to save as much
that
as
stuff
we can.
that's growing right now, Sophie, you want to preserve that. That's going to be next year's fruit. So don't cut it down.
There's about maybe 5-6 feet of vines.
Well, you can cut
place.
it. You can cut that back now. You can, but not way down to a foot. Cut it down to about 3 feet, as Ken said.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
All righty.
Okay, thank you.
Good luck, Sophie,
Good
on
luck.
that.
Thank
Let
you.
us know how you make out, okay?
Okay.
Take care.
Will
Okay.
do.
Yep.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye now. We've got time to talk to Judy on line 1. Good morning, Judy.
Hello.
Hi.
Good morning.
Hi. I've got a problem with my scarlet runner beans and cucumbers. They're blooming. They're doing very, very well, but they're not producing fruit or no beans.
No beans, no cucumbers.
The blossoms seem to just fall off.
Yeah. So what happens typically, well, I'm not going to say so much for the beans. Sometimes the beans will set fruit based on temperature. And if it's just too hot, they just won't set the fruit.
That's what I thought, because they're climbing up a retaining wall.
Oh, yeah.
And they're growing like crazy, Jack and the Beanstalk.
Yeah, they're happy. But, we need some cooler temperatures.
Judy, you're reading my mail. You're reading my mail. Exactly what's happened to my beans.
Same with me.
Yeah. Yeah, so it's the heat. And once things moderate a bit here, and, Ken mentioned something earlier on, the cool evenings, that's almost as important as the days cooling down. The cool evenings, give them a chance to breathe and get set and say, okay, morning comes and I'm going to go at her,
Okay. And the cucumbers, is it pollination? Because I've gone there. My mom used to, on the prairies, use a broom and beat the heck out of them.
You beat them into submission.
That's really, she didn't fly on that broom, did she? No, I'm just kidding.
She tried.
Yeah, with the cucumbers, it's usually, remember that cucumbers are first. All the blooms that come on first are all males. There's no females, so they won't produce any fruit on the first ones, and so they will often just drop off. But then all of a sudden you'll start to get a female will show up, and at the base of the bloom there's like a little mini cucumber sitting there. So it's like a little tiny cucumber with a flower on the end of it.
Yeah.
And then when you start to see those, that's the female. And then that's where you need to take the male and the female and hook them up.
Oh, so I got to fool around with their sex life.
You betcha. You betcha.
Maybe a bit.
It's an online dating system there.
Yeah, I'm more of a paintbrush applicator than a broom applicator.
I always say you take a Q-tip, you dress up like a bee and make buzzing sounds and go around and,
Yep.
There aren't many bees out this year.
No,
too hot.
I've kind of noticed that too.
Too
yeah,
hot.
the heat.
The heat is really affecting a lot. And, Ken and I don't want to be accused of answering the question, it's too hot all the time for all your plant issues. But it is causing
too hot.
I know, because some of the leaves are, my tomato plants, the new shoots that have come up have burnt. They're all crinkled.
Yeah, that'll happen. Yeah, it's just, pick and choose what you want to water, because there's certain things in my yard I'm pouring the water to, but I'm very careful about how much water I use. So I water a lot in my garden by hand. Some things need more, some things need less.
Yep.
And I just I'm very careful about it, because we are, this year, this is a very unique year right now. And,
so I just hang in there and it'll all come around in its circle.
Yep, in August.
We all sound like prairie farmers. Have you ever spoken to a prairie farmer that has been around for many years, and they can tell you, what year the crops were good, what year the rains were good, what year it didn't rain. They got it pinned right down every year. My dad used to say the same thing about cucumber and tomato crops. I remember, and he used to talk about the year 1937 and how they shipped, and he had the quote. I wish I could have recorded this story, because he said it so many times, but I can't remember exactly the numbers. But we shipped this many tons of tomatoes to the packing house that year, and it was really something else. Anyway, we're gonna have to take a short break here.
Okay,
we do appreciate your call. Thank you, dear.
Thanks for phoning in.
Yeah. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
We're going to take a short break. We'll be back with more AM 1150 Garden Show. We are back with you on a beautiful Saturday morning. It is warm out there, but not as warm as it has been. It was cool this morning, Ken. It was just a beautiful morning for being out in the garden. I did a little watering. I did a little checking in the greenhouse, a little repotting this morning in the greenhouse, and just shuffling around. We're gonna enjoy some company coming up at the end of the month, and finally, we can get to see people and enjoy our camaraderie that we normally have, and it's kind of nice that we're getting through this. We have on the line, Pam is on the line. Good morning, Pam. Hi, Pam.
Good morning, Pam. Are you there?
Good morning.
Good
Good morning. I just wanted to share, I guess, just a little. Most of my information is anecdotal because I'm not a scientist, but I've been observing, sharing comments with other gardeners through this real heat dome business that we've been dealing with, and recognizing, hearing comments about crispy leaves and plants that are just struggling, and aren't we all struggling to some degree? This heat has been very extreme. But, it brought me back to something that, Ken, you remind us of regularly, and the value of compost. And I'm quite a compost nerd myself. That
nice.
I find at this point, I think it's a very small club, because most people are interested in large veggies and beautiful flowers. And I'm not saying that other gardeners don't pay attention to their soil, but gosh, I think this summer I have learned the value of your plant's diet. to the resilience of your plant to whatever it is, whether it's a flower or a vegetable, root vegetable or a climbing vine or whatever. I just want to put out there to people, please investigate the value of compost and use it more than you ever have before, because I have found that, at least in my little yard, and like I said, it's only anecdotal, it's my little yard, but wow, we get sun exposure here, and I'm so surprised at how well 99% of my plants have done in this heat dome thing. And I don't think I'm special. I think I just have been blessed with good soil over the years of adding compost, and I just would encourage any gardener, especially new ones, don't even spend time on fertilizers. Just get great soil. Just get great soil.
Yep, that's good information.
Fabulous.
Good advice. Organic compost addition to the soil is imperative. Back in the day, adding manure back into the soil was a common way of doing things. But composting, it's kind of a fun thing to do too. Once you get onto it and you get some success going, it's like somebody that has any kind of a hobby. Making compost is really kind of like a hobby.
Yeah, I think I've read lots about different methods of doing it, and I think quite likely people's aversion, if they have one to it, or if they don't dig deep into it, it's because they think it's yucky and gross and smells bad. And it's not much different than anything else. If you don't really know how to do it, it's going to be way harder to do, and you're probably going to get discouraged, because if you don't know how to, make bread and you end up with a brick, that's not very encouraging.
No, that's right.
But if you get the right instructions, or if you get the right mentoring, what you end up with is close to a miracle, and you go, wow, I love this.
And it smells good. And it actually smells good.
Exactly. Compost
Earthy.
does not stink.
No, earthy.
Oh, it's awesome.
Rotting things stink, but compost does not stink. It's quite amazing. Yeah. And also, just before I go, I watched a couple of webinars in the last couple of weeks about soil regeneration. I'd love to share more with you later, guys. Fascinating stuff about absolutely dead dirt in places that didn't even grow weeds. Like there was nothing in this dirt to nourish anything growing. And within a couple of years, with appropriate, quite detailed and analytical compost application, they brought back this dirt to life-giving soil, and they even did scientific things like collecting samples and counting the fungus to bacteria ratios and the protozoa to nematode
now
ratios.
You're sounding like a scientist, Pam.
Oh, Don, I got jacked in excitement in organic chemistry, and this is bringing it back from my high school days. I'm not a scientist. I don't have much to say except to point people in a direction. That's the answer, people.
You may not be a scientist, but you got a lot of passion, and we really appreciate that. Yeah,
it's awesome.
Thank you, dear.
Okay, thanks for your time.
Thanks, Pam.
Bye-bye now.
Bye-bye. Yeah, she's absolutely right, and that's what you got to know. Just compost everywhere and lots of it.
You bet. Compost tea is another thing that people, I've got a whole thing on that. Gisela, we're inviting you to the show. Thank you for joining us.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Yes.
Is anybody there? I guess somebody there right now. Listen, Mr. Burnett, I need your help. Are you there?
I'm here. Okay. Ken's here too.
Okay. Listen, I have a little vegetable garden, everything growing very well, except my spinach. They all came up, as soon as they may be an inch tall, they had seeds on them. Every little plant has seeds, but no leaves.
This is you're talking about a dead spot on the leaf?
No.
Seeds.
Seeds. I'm sorry.
Healthy, but grow only seeds.
Yeah, the spinach has to grow in very cold temperatures. And so your spinach, you start very, very early, usually about around the 10th of March is a good time to plant, with a little bit of a cool cap over top of it, or like a little cover for the nighttime.
Yeah.
But, oh, my God, they love to grow just very, very cold, and they come out beautiful. There's no bugs around when it's cold, so they're nice and green and leafy, delicious. You can harvest them about once every week or two, all the way until you get to about May. And then in May, you're getting to the end of spinach season.
I planted them late, probably last week of May, because last year I had beautiful, beautiful spinach. I enjoyed it for weeks.
Yes, and last year so did I, and I got that second crop in because it poured rain and the temperatures were cool. And as long
can't do nothing with my gas.
I'll tell you what I did too last year. What? I planted some spinach in August, and it came up, and it came through the winter, and we ate spinach all spring from about March 1st right through to the end of May.
Okay, so you mean the seed would stay in the ground and won't grow till spring, maybe?
No, it grew in the fall. It grew into a small spinach patch in the fall.
Yes.
And it overwintered. It came through the winter nicely.
Yeah, they like to grow in the cold. They're funny plants.
They're like a perennial kind of. They're actually a biennial, so they will go to seed the following year. But they produced spinach, and there was not one iota of spinach leaf miner.
I would have to try that because I have fish shot and they grow beautiful on the peppers. A nice little garden. But I am very disappointed with the spinach because I enjoyed it last summer. It was very, very good.
Yeah, last year was awesome.
There's nothing but I keep watering them in the morning and at night.
All I can say, Janelle, is that's gardening.
and then I can have absolute nothing. I was so angry. I said, give you a call, see what you have to tell me. Yeah. And I just pulled the plants right out.
As Ken said, they're a cool plant, and that they're so cool that if you plant them in August, plant the seed in August, it'll come through the winter like mine did. I'm going to do it every year now.
Yeah, I will try that. I will, because I am very disappointed this year.
Okay.
But anyway, thank you for your help. You guys have a nice day.
And you as well, Gisela. We appreciate your call.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks for calling. Bye-bye.
We're going to quickly talk to Beverly. We got a couple of minutes before the break, but Beverly, good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
We are both well.
Awesome. I have hummingbirds in Peachland that just love the feeders. And I was having upwards of about 16 different hummingbirds at feeding at a time. And lately, I've noticed the last couple of weeks that the wasps have taken over it. So what do I do to get rid of the wasps so the hummingbirds will come back?
Yeah, I do believe I recall Dan mentioning that. And one of the things that he would do you have like little flowers on the end of your feeders? Like a little bloom thing? Yeah. He generally takes those off. And the reason was that he found that when he had those, that the wasps would get in there and they would cling on to the flower in order to feed. But when you removed it, there was nothing to cling on to. So only the hummingbirds could feed. And then the wasps wouldn't hang around as much. But you know what we'll do is next week we will run that question past Dan because he's a bird. He's a
bird guy. He's an ornithologist.
Yeah. So and each week when he calls in, we'll often ask him for a hummingbird report, and he tells us about what's going on. He actually has a bird sanctuary, so it's kind of handy. But
we've got him calling in every week at about 8:30.
8:30 a.m.
8:30. Okay.
Yeah.
So that's the next week at 8:30. Yeah. Perfect. I will try that.
Yeah, and I think that's what he said last time. Yeah. He had the same problem, so he took the little flowers off, and the birds would still come and feed, but the wasps, they couldn't hover and feed at the same time.
Yeah, because I'm watching them right now as they're hovering and going into the flowers like the hummingbirds would.
Yeah.
But they're landing sort of. They got something to sit on and do their drinking. But you give us a call or give us a listen next week when Dan's on, and we'll make sure that he talks hummingbirds next week
and wasps.
And he's also going to talk. He's also going to talk about chocolate and how it's made. So you might like that too.
Oh, I love that. Yeah.
Okay.
I'll be listening for sure.
Thank
you. Have a great day.
Thanks, Beverly.
Thanks for calling.
Thanks. Bye now.
Bye-bye now.
Bye-bye.
We are now going to take the bottom of the hour. We're going to take a short break. Our phone number to get through to us is 250-862-2525, and we'll be back with more AM 1150 Garden Show. We are back with you, and glad to be here. It's always fun to be on the Garden Show every Saturday morning. Ken and I becoming quite an institution. I mean, 1983 we started the show. Ken was
how many shows?
Ken was in diapers, but
Yeah, but I still knew my stuff.
He still knew his stuff. But 1983, I was 33 years old. So how old would you have been in 1983?
Probably about 19 or something.
In 33? Yeah. In 83, I should say. Not in 33.
No, 1933.
We don't go back that far, but 1,803 shows, 1,804 shows so far. Mm-hmm. We are going to the phone line, so we got to do it right now because we got Melanie phoning in. Good morning, Melanie.
Hi. I have a question about hardy kiwi.
Mm-hmm.
So I planted a male and female plant back 4 years ago.
Okay.
And the last couple of years they've flowered and produced fruit.
Mm-hmm.
It's the species name is it's the Colomicta.
Colomicta.
Yeah, so I know there's two different species, same genus but different species.
Yeah.
And so the fruit, I'm wondering if this is just how big the fruit is or if I'm not watering enough. I had expected, just looking from the photos on the internet, that the fruit would be about the size of a grape, but they're about the size of a peanut. Is that all I can expect?
Here's the deal, and I can answer this very knowledgeably because I have kiwi plants, and I've really looked into growing kiwi in the Okanagan, and I'm having very good success myself in my yard. There's 3 different types of kiwis. The Actinidia columnica is the one you have. There's the Actinidia, the fuzzy kiwi, the
Arguta?
Arguta.
The fuzzy one.
The fuzzy one.
Columnica was.
Yeah, Columnica is the prairie hardy kiwi. It's the very hardiest of the kiwis. Mm. Then we have the Arguta, and that's the one that you want to get, Arguta. And it's a larger kiwi. If you ever feel like coming by and having a look at my kiwi planting, you're sure welcome to do that.
And they don't come ready till almost September.
Yeah, September. They're starting to ripen up into late September.
Maybe yours are going to size up yet.
Well, yours could size up a little more, but you're saying every year it's the same thing, right?
Yeah, the last 2 years I've had fruit, and they've been the same size.
Yeah. The desirable one is the Arguta.
Okay.
So
is it available in the Okanagan? There's some nurseries.
Yes, it is. The common thing you see in the nurseries is the Actinidia columnica, but I would say that I've seen them at Bylands, the Argutas, but you got to have a male and a female.
Yeah.
And sometimes they'll sell a male and female in the same pot.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's how I got these ones originally. There was a male and female in the same pot.
Yeah. Come and see my kiwis at some point. You can give me a call. I'm in the book. I'm still in the book.
What kind of book, Don?
It's a telephone book.
Oh, a telephone book.
Yeah.
Interesting.
It's a telephone book. It's the thing. And my phone hangs on the wall.
Great.
How weird is that?
You'll be fine in a power outage.
Yeah, it'll still work.
Exactly. Okay, dear.
Great.
Thank you for the call.
Thanks very much, guys.
You betcha. Bye-bye now. Yeah, that's kiwis are a great thing to grow. And that was Melanie. We got Lorraine on line 2. Good morning, Lorraine.
Oh, good morning. I have a few questions.
Mm-hmm.
I planted 3 maiden grass along my driveway, and this year, I have to cut it off before winter because that's where I throw my snow. Otherwise, it's a mess to cut in the spring. And for the 2 or 3 years, they came back up, but this year they didn't, except one didn't come up at all, and 2 are very, very sparse. I'm just wondering whether it's worthwhile trying to nurse them along or dig them out.
Yeah, they suffered this year. It's just weather conditions were not ideal, and so some varieties that are more tender to rapid temperature change suffered quite a bit. Any parts of the plant that is still alive could recover, but I'm not so sure how long that would take. But if you're getting some shoots, say even from half of the plant, what they need
not
is
even half.
Not even half, yeah. But it is still alive, is still growing. You can feed it. They need lots of food and lots of a regular water supply, and they will grow, and they will come back. But,
okay. Thank you very much. I have a couple other questions. Yep. A friend just dug up some Vidalia onions from her garden. Just they're small yet, along with a pile of dirt around the roots. Mm-hmm. Is it too late to plant them in my garden?
This is dahlias?
Vidalia onions.
Oh, dahlia onions.
Yeah. Vidalia.
Vidalia onions. What are they?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
Sure.
Like, are they just going to die, or should I just?
Well, if is it an onion? I'm sounding kind of ignorant here because I don't know what that is, but it is an onion.
Like sweet onions, Vidalia onions. I think they come from southern California. I'm not sure where they come from.
Yeah, well, it's a little hot right now. Don't a lot of those finish off in the summertime? Don't they, Don?
Yeah. Typically, onions and some onions will overwinter and come through the winter. So you might want to plant them like you do a tulip bulb. You can plant them any time now, get them in the ground, and they could come back for next year. But and most of them are hardy. Like Ken, you were saying that they come through the winter. So I would get them back in the ground.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. And one other thing, I do compost, but all my compost is just made up of kitchen cuttings. Everything left that I cut off the vegetables, and I don't add any grass because I've got weeds in there, and I don't have any trees for leaves, and so I'm just wondering what it's lacking, Yeah,
it is the grass that it's lacking. If even though if you do have some weeds in your lawn or whatever, if you cut that lawn off, weeds and all, dump that into the compost because that's full of nitrogen, and it's the nitrogen is going to stimulate that to heat up. The vegetable waste doesn't have any nitrogen in it, so it needs that to get cooking.
Yeah. Okay, now if I cut the grass before these weeds go to seed tall, then I shouldn't get the compost full of weeds.
Yeah, well that's going to help. But as Ken said, if the compost is working properly, I
don't think it is.
Yeah, well, that's what you need to add the grass for, seeds and all, because the seeds will rot down too with the heat.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they'll die when you stir your compost. You put that grass clippings in, and you give it a toss every day. Once a day, go out and just shake it up and get oxygen into it, and the whole thing will start to get hot. And when it gets hot, that kills all the weed seeds, and everything
it's probably pretty dry now because I haven't been going out to do anything.
Yeah, and then you got to water it a little bit.
Yeah, a little bit of moisture. Yep.
Yeah. Okay. Well, thank you very much.
Thank you. We appreciate the call.
Bye.
Yeah, you betcha.
Good luck.
Take care.
Bye.
Bye now. And we're going to take a short break here, or do we have time? We've probably got time to take Lorraine. Was that?
That was Lorraine.
That was Lorraine. Addie.
Morning, Addie.
We can't not take Addie, of course. How you doing, Addie?
Doing fine. How about you guys?
Excellent.
Good, thanks.
I transplanted my hibiscus out of a small pot into a large pot 2 weeks ago, and now all the leaves have turned yellow, and it's kind of looking like it's branches. Is it because it went into shock, and will it come back, or is it done for?
It's usually just an event that would cause that. It might have been a little bit of shock or whatever, Addie. I mean, if you look closely, you'll probably see some new buds coming.
Yeah, I don't see any new buds, but however, I'm willing to give it as long as if we think it's still going to come back.
Oh yeah, it'll come back. Keep it in the shade though. Don't keep it in the sun right now.
Yeah, I've got it in the shade.
Yeah.
My other question is Brumansia. I'm going to have to take some cuttings. Do you put them in water and soil to root, or do you just put them straight into soil with a rooting hormone?
Right into soil, and I don't use rooting hormone. They root so easily. They root like a tomato plant. They root very easily.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
I root lots of them.
Yeah. Just get a pot about it. Need at least almost like a 1 gallon pot. If you're taking a good sized branch, cut the branch off about 18 inches long and just pop it right in the middle of that pot full of soil.
Yep. Keep it wet.
Start watering it. Keep it wet. The thing will root right in and just take right off.
So it's okay to put it in an oversized pot?
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, I started mine usually in like a 1 gallon pot, or, it's about 6 inches. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Is it the sun or the heat that is not good for the fertilizer? Like when you're fertilizing your plants,
it's actually,
is it the heat? Pardon me?
It's sort of both in a way, because with the sun comes the heat. And so the heat, a lot of fertilizers are temperature release. So that means as they get warmer, they release faster. And it doesn't really have anything to do with water. Water is a factor that moves the fertilizer around, but it doesn't necessarily cause it to release. So you got to keep it in a cool spot out of the sun when you're storing.
So but if you're watering your perennials, if you're watering your blooming perennials, they're in the sun.
That's okay.
So just water them at night or first thing in the morning.
It's probably better if it's a bit cooler, but the whole thing is when you're storing your fertilizer, keep it out of the sun. Once you get it mixed in your water, or if you're using granular, you can just sprinkle it around and water it in right away, and you should be good to go. And ideally, maybe in the evening or something so that it gets time to soak in. It's not too hot.
Okay. One other question. My morning glories. I've grown morning glories for years. This year, I've got some that have no flowers on them.
Might be too early yet. They need
to be. So the purple ones are blooming profusely.
The pink ones
the
are
light
later.
blue ones are not.
Now, Addie, is the foliage looking okay?
Oh, the foliage is great. It's just growing nothing but foliage.
Well, they should come on. They will come on. Give you a great color as the weather moderates a bit here. I think so.
Yep. You know, like I said, sometimes the blue and white ones, I've grown them both several different colors on the same trellis. And the blue and whites always seem to be last to bloom for some reason.
Really? Well, because they show no signs of having little flowers or anything. So,
let us know, because I know that they're going to come on. Just let us know when they do. That would be nice.
Super. Thanks a lot, guys.
Thank
Have
you,
a wonderful
Eddie. You as well.
week.
You betcha. Take care.
Thanks, Addie. Bye-bye.
And we got Edwin and Henry waiting for us, and we appreciate your patience, Edwin and Henry. You will probably be our last callers. We're going to come back after these messages with more AM 1150 Garden. And I want to thank both Edwin and Henry for hanging in there. And we're going to welcome Edwin to the show. Good morning, Edwin.
Good morning.
Hello, Edwin.
Good. Well, really hard to hear you this morning. Quick comment. My peas, then I have a question. My peas didn't do too well this year. Is that because of the heat?
Exactly.
Because they're like fried out there.
Yeah. No, they hate. I was talking to Scott Austin one time about planting peas, and he says if his mother doesn't get her peas in by the end of February, she's missing the season. So you plant them real early because they're cold crop.
Okay.
Yeah.
Next question. Last fall, there was a lady that come on and she talked about wiping her squash down the outside with vinegar. I don't know if you remember that. Like just take a vinegar and then she wiped the squash down. And we did that, and it absolutely stayed perfect all winter. Like unbelievable. Will that work on zucchini?
No, I don't think so, because zucchini is summer squash. And you've got sort of the two different categories. Summer squashes just don't keep. They only last for however long they last, and then they're done.
Right.
But the true squashes that have sort of that harder shell on them, they will keep, and that's use vinegar, or some people even wash them. They'll put like a tablespoon of bleach into a sink, and that just kind of kills any bacteria or anything that's on the outside of it. And they wash it. Now you've got a nice sort of, let's say, I'm going to use the word sterilized outer parts of the plant, the squash itself, so that it can't decompose. There's nothing on it that's going to break it down. It'll last right through the winter. And so that's why the vinegar does the same thing. It kills anything that's on the outside of it.
What's the best way? How do you store zucchini to last? Like, what's the best way to keep it as long as you can? Like, where do you put it?
Cook it and freeze it.
Yeah.
Oh, boy.
Yeah, it's a fresh eating. That's why they call them summer squash, is as soon as they're ready, you cook them and eat them.
I'm sensing, Edwin, that you have lots of zucchini.
Yeah.
That's the problem with zucchini. They come on like crazy. And of course, the nicest zucchini are the little tiny guys that are only a foot long.
Yeah, well, I missed a couple, and they're about 2.5 feet long.
Yeah, I know.
Oh, that's zucchini loaf.
Yeah, that's what Donna, my wife, makes zucchini loaf out of that stuff.
And the other quick question, lettuce, it didn't do too well this year, did it? Or is it just my garden?
Again, cold. They're a cold crop.
Early planting, Cold crop. I had fabulous success with the romaine lettuce this year, just like unbelievable success. And we were eating it all season. I don't know how, I don't know why, but it's the only lettuce that seemed to grow in this heat, but it's all done, finished, long gone now.
Right.
But it was good this year, but none of the other ones were not so good. The really soft, leafy lettuces, they did okay until probably about May, and then they petered out.
Okay. Yeah. Okay, it's not my garden, and I'm safe. It's just me.
It's weather conditions. Too hot this year.
Yep. Okay, guys.
Thanks
very
Edwin.
much.
Thanks for the call. Appreciate it.
Okay. Bye-bye.
And Henry, welcome to the show.
Hello, Henry. Are you there?
Oh, Henry's not there. Okay.
Oh, he's dropped off.
Yeah. So, Ken, I just want to tell people that, I would say 80% of the questions that were asked today, we blamed it on the heat, right? What an easy out, eh? What an easy out that is.
Well,
but it is. It's a factor.
It's the way it goes.
It's influenced the gardens this year.
Yeah, well, and like I said, it was 45 degrees in the Okanagan here, so that's hot. That's 113 or something.
Crazy.
So when it gets that hot out, we chase the shade. We can get out of the sun, but the plants can't. No. And I had plants that were perfectly consistently watered, and they burnt. Like they went brown and crispy. So, it's not a water thing. It's just existence in that intense light. Plus UV ratings over 12. For a couple days there, like 10 is extremely high, 9 is extreme. But when you're over 10, 12, it's like I don't think they recommend people even go out in that weather, but it's the way it goes.
Donna always says to me, "Listen to Ken. He knows what he's talking about." Okay, so I'm
Thanks,
listening
Donna.
to you, and here's the deal: you came by my home and you said, because my wonderful little swamp cooler that I made for the greenhouse, which works like a darn. It really works well.
Love that thing.
But it was spitting out. If I had the thing at the top, the water, the distributor turned kind of normal, it would spray into the greenhouse, and it eventually is going to rot timbers, right? If I turn it too far out, it spit out onto the sidewalk,
and then you lose all your water.
Then I'm losing water, and it's just not efficient. Ken says, well, why don't you just put some sacking on it?
Some burlap.
So, burlap. And I put burlap on it, Ken. Absolutely. I can turn that thing so it's shooting right out as though it's going to go out onto the garden. And the burlap catches it, and it runs right down into the trough. No problem. So I appreciate that advice.
Yeah. It's
I'm going to take your advice this week, too, on the shade. I think that, and I don't want to burst your bubble on your
tip of the week.
Tip of the week, but that shade idea, shade cloth, and I've got some shade cloth that I did use at one point on the greenhouse, but now I have the cooling system. I don't need the shade cloth, so.
Yeah, it is. It's something like I was thinking about it. Just different crops, particularly, but the potatoes. Yep. Remember the potatoes that are burning up right now are probably the ones that don't keep going anyway. They're the determinate varieties. Yep. They get to a point and then they just they finish. They're done. Dig them up, use them. That's it. So determinate varieties are typically the early and mid-season types. The later ones that come on that go way late into the season, those ones continue to grow and look happy and healthy, and so anyway. It would be nice on certain crops to add a little bit of shade cloth just to hover it over top of the plants, just to give them a break.
Yeah. Give them a break. And we've had some good feeds of potatoes this year. It was really great. Tomatoes look great. Peppers look great. Beans are looking good, but they aren't producing the beans yet, but lots of blossom. The garlic was great. I'm just about to dig all my garlic out. Onions have been okay. They haven't sized up the way they normally do. But now I'm going to put some put some more radishes in, and I am going to do that spinach thing again this year. Plant some spinach and have it come through the winter. We ate spinach.
Onions and spinach and some of these other crops. And I've even heard that peas, you do them. I've had people that plant in like October. Same time you plant your garlic in October, plant peas.
And they come up in the spring, and bingo, there's your pea picking time in the spring. Well, on that note, let's do the tips and plants of the week, and then we're out of here. I got to find my tip. I know what my tip is. It's not a gardening tip. This may not be a gardening tip, but we have discovered the benefits and pleasure of soaking our feet in cold tap water in a tub on the patio. We're sitting there. Everybody's hot. Take your shoes off and put them in a bucket of cold water. Perfect way to cool down. Inexpensive way to cool down too. And my plant of the week is simple: corn. And how ironic that guess who was talking about corn this morning, and that was Dan Bruce. And we're going to be talking more about corn more about chocolate next week.
Oh, yes,
with Dan Bruce.
You bet. I also have a tip and plant, and my tip is to consider using some shade cloth, especially in the afternoon on your vegetable garden. It can help to reduce this heat stress that some of the plants are going through. And my plant of the week this week was the caladium plants. Caladiums are just gorgeous, beautiful colored leaf plants that are tropical. They don't like the cold, but they're fabulous in the heat in a shady location. In planters, they're great. And you can check out Kel Lake Greenhouse out on Shanks Road out in Lake Country. They've got a fabulous selection of caladiums right now. So check it out. Remember to check growercoach.com.
Now, I've got a Shigo quote of the week, but it's not this week's, it's last week's, but that's okay. It was a cool one. Do you remember it?
Technically, it is this week.
Yeah, you're going to remember.
Okay.
Many people are not hard of hearing, but hard of listening.
Right.
That was a good one. So it's worth repeating that one. Folks, we will take a break now. We'll see you next week with more AM 1150 Garden Show.